What's up guys, how you doing? I got a lot of great questions from you in the last video. One of them was about varied surfaces. Good thinking, because I was about to do that too. So we're here today to check it out. If you haven't seen the previous video, we're showcasing the Sakura Solid Marker, the Ganko Solid Marker, the Sakura Mini, the Sakura Jumbo, the Decocolor Solid, and last but not least, the Primo Solid Marker, made in-house here. So we got some wood, we got some cardboard, we got a dumpster. I want to do it on a wet surface, but it's the middle of summer, so that may be a bit difficult, but I'll try to figure something out if possible. So let's go ahead and get started. I'll see you guys in a second. All right guys, let's go ahead and get started with the dumpster. It's a common misconception that dumpsters are smooth. They get tagged, repainted, tagged and repainted, tagged and repainted, tagged and repainted, till infinity. So the surface starts to get a little bit of a texture, and we happen to have one right here. So let's go ahead and check it out. Up first is the Ganko. As you can see on this type of surface, the crayon aspect really starts to come out. It feels very smooth, it writes really nice. Let's move on to the next. All right, up next is the Deco Solid. I like these little markers. They're kind of slept on, you know? We need to get more people using them. This is also a medium density marker. Feels a little bit more sticky than the Ganko when you write with it. It's a little bit something to do with the formula inside of it. Speaking of which, I had a lot of people asking about oil bars like the Marco B and the Primo Hobo. They're in a different class of marker. That's why I didn't include them in this video. This has a different base. I want to say it's called a polyphenol. Don't quote me on that. I'm not a chemist, although I should be. So we'll compare the other ones in a different video. And then maybe we'll compare them side by side in another video. Why not? That'll be called oil bars versus streakers. I don't know. We'll figure something out. Anyways, let's move on to the next. Okay, up next is the Sakura Solid Classic Streaker. This is more of a hard density marker. Let's go ahead and check it out. You can feel it already. It's much more hard like a crayon, but it writes very nice. I feel like I get a smaller line out of it because of it, you know, because with the softer streakers, it's laying down more product, you know what I mean? So this will conserve a bit more, but it has a different characteristic. Is that for you? I don't know. Only you can decide. All right, up next is the Sakura Mini. This is a great little pocket-friendly marker, but it does operate a little bit differently. In order to advance the paint stick, you gotta stick something in there and get it going like that, see? So it does take a little bit more extra effort, but it's a great little marker. Let's go ahead and check it out. It's a little bit of a bump right there. I don't know if you guys can see that, but that's how dumpsters are. Feels good in the hands, feels just like a Sakura. As you can see, the line is about the same size as the regular Sakura. That is due to the formula. Let's move on to the Jumbo. Okay, so this is the Sakura Jumbo. A lot of you guys haven't seen this marker yet, but if you watch the previous video, I go through all the details on how it works. Let's go ahead and see it on this dumpster here. As you can expect, it writes just like the other Sakuras, but bigger. Okay, up next is the Primo Solid Marker. We make these in-house. They are probably the softest streaker you'll find. And in order to advance them, just twist it on the bottom like a Sakura, and you'll be right as rain. All right, let's go ahead and check it out. And like I said, it is soft as butter. Is that for you? Only you can decide. All right, let's go ahead and check them out. Up first is the Ganko, the Ganko, the Ganko. Very crayon-like on here. That is due to the surface. I really like the texture of that marker. It's a little bit of a pastel yellow, just like the Deco, which is slightly harder if I remember right. They both feel kind of medium texture. It's pretty close. All right, up next is the Sakura. Everyone loves this marker. It is the highest density of all of them, so if that's what you're looking for, I think you'll like it. The crayon aspect, though, is pretty similar, although it does write a finer line. Okay, let's check out the Sakura Mini. This one was up against a bit of a struggle here because I don't know if you can see it, there's a huge, just a huge crack in the paint right there. So the writing style is just like the regular Sakura, but if you want something small and pocketable, this is what you're looking for. All right, up next is the Sakura Jumbo. As you can see, it writes very big, as the name implies. The density of the stick is the same as well. It is a bit of a novelty. We get them in sometimes, not all the time. But like all these markers, they're great for graffiti art, street art, fine art, and your industrial applications. Some of you wonder why I mentioned that, but some of our biggest customers are industrial outlets. They keep the lights on. I need to acknowledge them. Okay, last but not least is the Primo Solid Marker. This is the softest of the bunch and definitely has a much different color profile. It's a bit more of a canary yellow, while all the others are more of a pastel yellow in nature. The Sakuras, I would say, are the lightest of the yellows. I'm not sure if that shows on the video or not, but it's so close, it doesn't really matter that much. All right, guys, let's go ahead and check it out on some lumber. This is a common use for solid markers, whether you're in construction, industrial applications, stagecraft, or anywhere you need to cut these things, make a mark, or even just comment something on them. You know, construction guys love to write little notes inside the walls. So let's go ahead and check them out. I believe this is hemlock fir. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys. It's been a long time since I've studied wood by the grain. I tend to live against the grain. Okay, let's check out the Ganko. Okay, the buttery aspect really comes out on this piece of wood. It feels really good. Gives you a nice solid write. It should work great. Okay, up next is the Deco Solid. Again, slept on. Pick one up. And again, this feels like the most sticky of the bunch. I don't know why, but it doesn't affect the way it writes. It's just something to note. Again, the buttery aspect comes out on this one. All right, guys, let's go ahead and check out the Sakura. I don't have room for the A. Anyways, it writes great. Again, the buttery aspect comes out, and it does feel much more dense than the others. Okay, let's check out the Sakura Mini. One thing I just noticed that's quite curious is this. Guys, you could have just made it a couple millimeters bigger. I mean, it's almost like it wants to go on there, but it won't. You know, and if you've been watching my videos, you know how much this drives me crazy. You gotta be able to rest the cap on there, especially for someone like me that has ADHD. I lose caps all the time. You're discriminating against me. All right, let's check it out. Again, that butteriness comes out. I really like these markers. I love them. But come on, guys. Hook a guy up. Okay, let's check out the Sakura Jumbo. And this is great because we're about ready to advance it. So go ahead and peel off that clear tape or wrapper or whatever you want to call it. There should be a perforated portion, but of course, because of my bad eyesight, even with glasses, having trouble seeing it. Oh, there it is right there. Okay, remember, just peel one layer at a time. If you do too many, it falls apart. That's what's holding it together. Okay, so let's pull it out. There we go. Sticker in the rear. And now you're ready for action. It writes like every other Sakura ever, but bigger. I really like this marker. And we only have a few in stock right now, but we'll probably get more in soon. We do regular shipments from Japan. I think we're probably the first graph outfit to do that, and others have followed suit. what is it called? Mimicry is the best form of flattery. Yes. All right, so we got the AP Solid right here. Let's go ahead and advance it a little bit. Let's see how it writes. Que bella, que bella. It's butter, my dudes. Butter. So let's go ahead and compare them. Okay, let's go ahead and move back and compare them all in one frame here, or at least as best as I can. Oops, I'm hitting the tripod. They all work great, but as you can see, some are much more contrasty than the others. In particular, the AP one. Look at that thing. Okay, we got this piece of cardboard right here. This is going to be a very useful test, especially if you work in warehousing, manufacturing, or anywhere where you need to mark your boxes with lot numbers or whatever it is you need to write on them. This doesn't really pertain to our graffiti customers because tagging on boxes would probably be frowned upon. Who's going to see it, right? Maybe you're practicing, so we'll give you that. All right, let's check them out. Up first is the AP Solid. Okay, as you can see, due to the texture of the cardboard, you lose a little bit of that, you know, I don't want to say fidelity, that's for sound, but you know what I mean? You lose a little bit of that quality of the write. It looks good, but it's not the best. But in the circumstance that you're using it for, it doesn't really matter. You just got to be able to read it, right? Let's check out the next one. What's here? Sakura. Sakura. I'm very curious which one writes best on this. Okay, due to the density of the marker, I think you get a better write on this surface. It's a lot more legible. You know what I mean? A lot more legible. Okay, let's check out some more. Let's see what's in here. Let's see. Okay, let's check out the Sakura Mini. Really cool little marker. I got to get down low for this one. Ooh, I really like this for this application. This will be a great little thing that you can put in your tool belt or anywhere when you're working in a warehouse. It writes really nice on the cardboard, very compact, useful little tool. All right, let's go ahead and check out the Deco Solid. Great little marker. Again, feels much more sticky than the others. I don't know what advantage of that would be. Maybe the resin is a little more dense, which may make it a little bit more resistant to fading. Again, pure speculation. Okay, up next is the Ganko, Japanese import. Let's check it out. I went big with that one. I would say it's the second most sticky of these markers. It writes really nice, should suit you well. I still think the Sakura Mini does best on these surfaces, but that's purely up to the user, what they want. It's all relative. All right, last but not least, the Sakura Jumbo. I love that sound. Okay, this might be a useful tool for you. It gives you a very, very bold write, and it's not the most pocket friendly, but if you're in an industrial, manufacturing, any type of situation like that, warehousing, did I say that? Yes, warehousing. This may be the tool that you need. All right, that was fun. As you can see, we're doing a wet surface test. Ideally, this would be best done in the wintertime when the stuff really beads up on it, but hey, what are you gonna do, right? What are you gonna do? All right, up first is the Ganko. And nothing. Up next is the Deco. And nothing. Up next is the Sakura. And barely something. Up next is the Sakura Mini. And barely something. And up next is the, what's up next? Oh, the Jumbo. Let's try the Jumbo. And barely something. Okay, last but not least, the Art Primo Solid Marker. The Art Primo Solid, solid, so solid, so solid. Oh, look at that. Not a very good right, but a right nevertheless. Now, this surface is extremely wet, and you're probably not going to be writing like this, like I said, and usually it's going to be kind of beaded on the surface, and they all should write in those circumstances. But the manufacturers often say it works on wet surfaces. I've often been dubious of that, and as you can see, they generally don't. But AP Solid, it's the winner. All right, so there you have it, all the solid markers on a variety of surfaces. I hope you found this video illuminating or helpful, however you want to say it. I did. I was pleasantly surprised how well the AP Solid did on a wet surface. It blew everyone out of the water, as you can say. But they all did great. They all have their uses, although the other manufacturers are overselling its ability to write on wet surfaces. But when winter comes and we have more natural wet surfaces where everything's kind of beating up, let's try it that way, because I think it'll be a little bit more fair as a real life situation. That piece of metal I had the water pooling on it. But hey, that's a hardcore test. And this one won. So anyways, thank you very much, guys. This is GR at the Art Primo Warehouse. We sell a variety of markers, paints, anything you can think of for the graffiti artists, the fine artists, the street artists, and yes, industrial and commercial applications. So hit us up, 206-365-4083, 206-365-4083. That's artprimo.com, 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 artprimo.com.